Vice President Biden at a recent rally with Tim Kaine was saying that Democrats, if they win, Hillary wins, they should examine what drove Trump supporters to the polls in such large numbers. Do you think there are any changes Democrats could make given that situation?
I think there is the anger and discontent that a lot of Trump voters feel. It's real. I think Trump was the wrong messenger for that. But the truth is, we've got to have an economy that allows everybody to participate. I spent a longer time in business than I have in politics. But too often in today's American capitalism, we see such focus on simply the next quarter rather than the long-term investments that traditionally have been part of the free enterprise system. So I, as somebody who's been a beneficiary of our free enterprise system, I want it to work, but I want it to work in a way where we still make investments in human capital, where we still have a social contract with social insurance for people regardless of how and where they work. I mean, the whole notion of the workforce has changed dramatically, and these are issues that don't fall upon a Democrat-Republican continuum. They're much more future versus past, and I believe not only do the Democrats have to understand that the discontent amongst many of the Trump voters is real, but also the Republican establishment needs to understand that as well. And that's going to take, though, a more focused solution on how you deal with technology and globalization other than simply some of the angry rhetoric that Trump has put forward.
If Hillary Clinton wins the election, a lot of people came out for Donald Trump because of his message on trade. When it comes to TPP and trade policy, what can the Democrats do to get some support from people who back Donald Trump, specifically on the trade issue?
Yeah. First, I don't think we can abandon our trade agenda. We have trade agreements with 20 countries, and we have trade surpluses with each one of those 20. Those are not the places we're losing jobs to. Losing jobs to China, with whom we don't have a trade agreement. So I think what we have to do is, for those of us who believe that trade is good for our country, is to make sure that we're doing the proper investments to people that are left behind. There's mostly a high school education left who aren't really participating in the new economy. When they're manufacturing jobs in overseas, or when coal became uncompetitive to natural gas, they're just out of luck, and we've got to really help them first. Those are the people, I think, that responded to the Trump message of tear up the trade agreements. That won't do anything, that won't help them, so we have to help them in ways that are real.
Yeah, I asked the question because Vice President Biden yesterday was saying, Democrats should not disregard what resonated with the Republicans, specifically backing Trump, and they should not dismiss it, and they should look into it and dissect it and figure out what it is.
I heartily agree with Vice President Biden. That white working class men and women were the Democratic coalition that elected Franklin Roosevelt, Harry Truman, John Kennedy, Lyndon Johnson, even Bill Clinton. And now it's a part of the Trump contingent. And I don't know that we ignored them, but clearly as Democrats, we have to have a message that makes them feel good about their future, that we really care and are putting policies in place that will bring back their communities and their jobs.
And a lot of the rhetoric was on trade, like TPP, and he criticized Hillary in the debate, saying you called it the gold standard. Do you think that TPP is the gold standard, or does it need to be fixed?
What I think is, we're going to continue to trade with nations around the world, and a lot of the frustration about trade is particularly vis-a-vis China's trade policies, and ironically, TPP would actually give us some ability to counterbalance China's activities. One of the reasons why I've supported it is that I want to make sure that America sets the rules for trade in Asia, not China. But I also think we need to understand that there have been an awful lot of communities that have not benefited from trade, and frankly, some of the programs that took place in the 90s, the so-called Trade Assistance Act, TAA, really didn't help enough people. So I think we still need to move forward with a trade agenda, but there needs to be much more reimagining, both in terms of training and, for example, supply chain jobs of some of the companies going to benefit from trade being located in some of those communities that have not benefited from trade. So it's going to require a fresh look.